Shabbat Shalom. Well, today we're going to be doing the Parasha on, it's called Balak. It comes from Numbers chapter 22, verse 2, all the way over to 25, verse 9. Now, some of the information that I'm going to be presenting comes from the Numbers, and some of it comes from the Midrash. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the Midrash is a book that has a lot of the Jewish customs and a lot of the background information on, what was happening at the time that all this stuff was going on. Now, some of it probably is verified, some of it, well, we're not sure, but it gives us an insight into what was going on at the time that, all these things were happening. Now, Balak, he was the king of Moab, okay? And he was the son of Zippor, okay? And he saw the nation of Israel come over and camp near his kingdom. And you have to understand that there were probably several million people, and he made comments like they covered the face of the earth. And also, now, Moab was paying tribute to two of the kingdoms nearby. One was governed by a king named Sichon, and the other one was from a king named Og. Now, Israel had defeated both of these nations. So Moab was paying tribute to both of these nations, and they were mightier than he was. So he was terrified that, that the nation of Israel was going to come after him and destroy him like they did the other two nations. So he sent for Balaam, and Balaam was a prophet. He was kind of an evil prophet. God used him just the same. But he was also an astrologer. He would look at the stars, and he would see different people in different situations where he felt that things were going to go bad for that person, and he would curse them. So when things finally did go bad for them, people would say, oh my goodness, Balaam cursed these people, and look what happened to him. So he built up a reputation for being like a prophet, and also, whoever he cursed, they would be cursed. So Balak, being terrified to the point of dread, he sent some princes and some emissaries to Balaam, and who lived several towns away. And he said, come and come to my kingdom, and I want you to curse the nation of Israel, because he figured, if Balaam cursed him, then the nation of Israel would be cursed, and he could easily overcome them. So the emissaries came to Balaam, and Balaam said, well, let me, they said, come and, my master Balak wanted you to come and curse Israel. So Balaam said, well, let me talk to the Lord about it. And he was kind of like the opposite of Moses. Moses was like the good prophet, or a good person. Balaam was kind of like the evil twin, okay? Moses talked with God by day. Balaam did it at night. So Balaam talked with God, and God said, no, I don't want you to curse them. They are my people, and tell this and only say what I tell you to say. So Balaam told the princes who had camped there at Balaam's overnight, he told them, go back and tell your, Balak that, I cannot go there, because the Lord has told me not to curse Israel. So they went back and told Balak that he refused to come. So then Balak sent another group of even more honorable people and, more numerous over to Balaam and said, come, come and curse Israel, and so that, we can defeat them. So all these second group come over, and again, they camped over with, where Balaam was. And Balaam consulted God, and God said, well, if they come to you and ask you again, then you can go ahead and go with them. But Balaam had kind of like an ulterior motive. He was kind of an evil person, and his plan all along was to curse Israel. He wasn't going there to bless them. So finally, God said, if they ask you again, you go ahead and go with them. So the next morning, I don't believe even they asked him to go. He just saddled up his donkey and started off with his two servants. And he was making his way to where Balak was. And so God was not too happy with him because he knew his heart. He knew he was going there to curse him. So God got angry with Balaam. So as he was traveling to where Balak was, God sent an angel to obstruct him, to get in his way. Well, Balaam couldn't see the angel, but the donkey could. So at first, the angel appeared in front of the donkey with a sword, and the donkey kind of veered off the road into a field. And of course, Balaam couldn't see the angel, so he was kind of upset. So he kind of like started hitting the donkey and finally trying to get him back on the road. And again, the new route that he took, there was a stone wall on one side, and the angel was blocking the way. The donkey veered off again, and again, Balaam hit the donkey. This happened the third time, but this time there was two stone walls, and during the course of it, the donkey had brushed up against the stone wall, injuring Balaam's foot. So the third time that he refused to go forward, he kind of like laid down, and Balaam was kind of whipping him with his staff. And God opened up the donkey's mouth, and, basically the donkey was saying, why are you hitting me? I was your donkey and all this. Now, it seems kind of strange to me that Balaam started arguing with the donkey. I mean, if it was me, I'd say, oh, you can talk? But he didn't. In today's day and age, they would call that riding under the influence. But he didn't question the donkey talking. He just argued with him, and then God allowed him to see the angel standing in front of him. And so the angel said, finally, the angel said, if you would have came up to me, I would have, cut you down and saved the donkey. But the angel, under the instructions of God, let him proceed, but warned him that he could only say what God told him to say. So Balaam went over to Balak. So Balak, kind of gave him the dick and saying, I had to send two groups of people to get you here, and so he promised them a lot of money and gold and wealth and silver and so forth if he cursed Israel. And Balaam said, well, I can only say what the Lord tells me to say. So he took him up on this high hill that they used to worship Baal, and showed him the camp of Israel. And so Balaam said, build 7 altars, and on each altar sacrifice a bull and a ram. And in the meantime, after they're doing all this, he spoke with God. God said, no, do not curse them. So Balaam kind of like blessed him. So Balak got kind of angry, took him to another hill, showed him again the camp of Israel. Again, Balaam told him, build 7 more altars, sacrifice, a bull and a ram on each altar. And he did that. Again, same thing. He said, I can't curse them. I can only, the Lord says that these are his people and we can only bless them. So this happened a third time. Took him up on a third hill, built 7 more altars, sacrificed 7 more bulls and rams, and he, again said that he can't curse them. But again, Balaam, because he was into magic and all this, each time he consulted his oracle, he brought all of his magic instruments with him so that he could, so that he'd have no excuse. Balak would have no excuse that he didn't have all the things necessary to make a proper, prophecy. So he again told him that, he can't curse Israel, he can only bless them. Well, Balak got very, very upset, and the reason why he had Balaam there is because, he felt the nobility and the leadership of Moab felt that the power of the Israelites came from Moses, that the words that Moses spoke, and they figured Balaam, his power came from the curses and so forth that he spoke. So this is why they were so, intent on having Balaam curse Israel. And when he refused to do it, basically they sent him home. And Balak was not too happy with him. And what ended up happening is Balaam and Balak had conspired to, do away with Israel because Balaam hated Israel more than Balak did. So what they did was they conspired to infiltrate the camp of Israel with all these Midianite women, and they corrupted them morally, and God sent a plague over the Israelite camp, and 24,000 of the Israelites ended up dying. And finally, God, because they were worshiping some of the idols, and they were doing all kinds of immoral things with the Midianite women and so forth. So God was not too happy with them. And the end result was that, God stopped the plague after, and he had all the members of the Israelites that worship Baal, he had them put to death. And once he cleared all that up, then the bottom line was that they ended up having, fighting them, and Balaam eventually died by the sword. So he, God is a God of mercy, and sometimes he uses even people that are flawed or people that, that are not perfect to do his work for him. I mean, if you look back in history, you look at, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they all had their flaws. They weren't perfect people. Even David, Solomon, all of them, God used them, and they weren't perfect people. The same thing happened with Balaam. But Balaam, God had taken away his gift of prophecy. So he was, he was just trying to get rich, and his intention was to curse Israel and get all this money, but it did not end well with him. But our God is a God of mercy, and sometimes if he can use people like that to orchestrate his will, he can surely use us. Because, I'm sure that most of us here, if not all, do not have any of, the flaws that some of these people in the Bible had. And if God can use them, he can use us. So the thing of it is, we need to listen to the Lord and let him use us to do his work, to do his will. And and that is his plan. So we should follow the Lord, listen to him, pray, and let him use us as he sees fit. Thank you.